welcome to the Madison Miller podcast. This is the Thursday night special. NFL free agency will be the majority talking points, and there's a couple of other subjects that I want to hit tonight as well, but we'll save that for the end of the show. So NFL free agency, I'm going to go in alphabetical order, discuss what I like, what I don't like, and winner or loser, or too hard to call in my eyes. So the Cardinals. So Jonah Williams, they get after they get rid of DJ Humphries. Good fit. Jonah Williams is younger. DJ Humphries was a big money free agent a couple years ago. Just didn't work out, and I actually did think that he was going to get cut sooner rather than later. Justin Jones, 3 years, over $30 million. I don't love the contract, but I understand the need. Sean Murphy Bunting, 3 for $25.5. I like Sean Murphy Bunting. He's a good corner. So that's not a bad deal. Bilal Nichols, 3 years, $21 million. I like that one too. So winner or loser? This is a hard call. I'm gonna say that a loser, because I think that they could have had better players come in and help the team become a factor in the NFC. Could have they gone in on Christian Wilkins? Could have gone in on some of the better defensive tackles? Not that Bilal Nichols and Justin Jones are bad. They're not bad players. But I think they could have done better at that position. And I think that they could have gone in other places too. They're going to lose Hollywood Brown. But that does open the door for them to take MVH or MHJ at 4 if that were to be the case. So they can make up for what I think is not the best free agency for a good draft. So to me, the Cards are a loser. Atlanta, Darnell Mooney, 3 for $39. I think that's a little too much money, but I understand why they did it. Kirk Cousins, 4 for $180. Had to do it. Because this is a team that's ready to win, wide open division, and to me, quarterback play held this team back since Matt Ryan was still in his prime. So they had to upgrade that position to get a veteran in there, and no better available than Kirk Cousins. But yeah, to me, they're a winner. They deserve to be favored in that division now with Cousins, and you have Mooney to that offense with all the other fun toys they have, like Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson and Drake London and Tyler Algier. So, to me, the Atlanta Falcons are a winner. Baltimore Ravens, Derrick Henry, 2 for $16. Excellent signing. Justin Matabuke, franchise tagged in 4 for $98. Good job for getting that done. To me, they're a winner. I love the Derrick Henry contract, and I love the fit. He's an upgrade over what they've had at running back. He gives them consistency. He gives them, more importantly, a security blanket for Lamar Jackson, so Lamar doesn't have to run all the time. I absolutely adore this fit, and they had to make some splashy move on offense, in my opinion, after what the Chiefs did to them in the AFC title game. And then Matabike, coming off a career year, and they paid him. Sometimes that could be buyer's remorse, but I do not believe that will be the case, especially with a smart organization like the Ravens. I think that Matabike had to get done. But they do lose Patrick Queen. That's a big loss on their defense, but they can replace that in the draft. So I'm going to say winner in spite of losing Patrick Queen, but that's mainly because they signed Derrick Henry. If they didn't, say if Derrick Henry went to Dallas or Philly or somewhere else, Baltimore's a loser. But to me, they're a winner, even though they lost Queen. The Buffalo Bills, they bring back AJ Apenza, 2 for 12. Daquan Jones gets done for 2 for 16. Taylor Rapp, 3 for a little over 10.5. To me, though, they're a loser. They just had to get rid of a lot of guys. Jordan Poyer is gone. They had to cut a lot of players, which is unfortunate. And to me, I don't like what anybody in the AFC East did. I mean, I don't want to say I don't love what anybody in the AFC East did. I think that division had the worst free agency of any foursome of a division. And that's not all the Bills' fault. I mean, the Dolphins lost a lot of people. And the Jets, I think they had opportunities sitting there for them. And obviously, New England is bad. So, I don't like what the AFC East did as a whole, but Buffalo, I just feel that they could have done better, but at the same time, I understand why they got rid of some players. The Carolina Panthers, they signed Josie Jewell from the Broncos, 3 years, over $22 million. That's a good one. Ashawn Robinson, 3 for 22.5. The guard Damian Lewis, 4 for 53. Robert Hunt, 5 for 100. That's a massive overpay, like I said on my regular show. But that's a big name that they got in there to improve the offensive line. Winner or loser? This is a hard one, but the loss of Brian Burns is absolutely brutal. I understand they got a really good second-round pick from the Giants and a 5th. But because of that loss, I think it's a loser. They're a loser, the Panthers. I like Josie Jewell, good player. That's a big loss for Denver. Ashawn Robinson, I don't think was that great on the Giants. Damian Lewis, a really good guard that came over from Seattle. But he's not that great. Not as great as Robert Hunt, who they brought in. Although the Hunt contract was humongous. But because of the Brian Burns trade and not getting what they demanded a couple years ago, they're a loser. The Chicago Bears. Gerald Everett, the tight end, 2 for 12. DeAndre Swift, 3 for 24. Jalen Johnson, 4 for 76. And Justin Fields is still on the Bears, and they still have the number 1 pick. The Bears, to me, are a team that is acting half pregnant. Do you want to be good and win, or are you rebuilding? To me, these are win now moves. Then you should keep Justin Fields and trade the pick for a bunch of other stuff and maybe a really good player that could help you. Like, are the Giants willing to trade Dexter Lawrence in 6 and their 2025 first for the rights to draft Caleb Williams? If I'm the Giants, I might consider that, even though they do have a lot of holes on their roster. The Giants do. But they're also not a quarterback away from winning anything. We'll get to the Giants in a second. But if the Bears want to win now, you trade the pick and keep Justin Fields and try to get an elite player to go with what you have. Or could you do in division and get Justin Jefferson from Minnesota for the pick? That would be interesting. I would consider that if I'm Minnesota. You lost Kirk Cousins. We'll talk about the Vikings later, too. Now, all of a sudden, they should be rebuilding because they lost Cousins. So, it's interesting. I think the Bears should trade the pick. I'm in the minority. But say they keep the pick, then why'd you pay all these dudes? And why didn't you fire Matt Eberflus? And here's the other problem. If you draft Caleb Williams 1 and you trade Fields, Caleb Williams is probably going to have 2 coaches in 2 years because the Bears are probably not going to be in the postseason in Caleb Williams' rookie year. They might be in the playoffs in 2024 with Justin Fields. I do not think they'll be in the playoffs with, quite frankly, either guy, but I think it's more likely they make it with Fields rather than Caleb. Only because I think they can get so much back for that pick that can help them right away in a wide open conference. And I'm in the very minority of this. And I'd be the only person singing the praises for the Chicago Bears if they trade the pick. And if the right team trades for the number 1 pick, I'd praise them as well. And I gave out 2 candidates right off the bat. And there could be more. But the Bears, to me, they're an unknown. Like I said, they're acting half pregnant a little bit because of the pick. But right now, I think they're a winner because they upgrade at running back with DeAndre Swift on a contract that is pretty good. And they extend Jalen Johnson, which they had to do. So, winner. Cincinnati Bengals. Sheldon Rankins, 2 for 26. Nice contract. Geno Stone, 2 for 15. Okay. Loser. I would have brought back DJ Reader. He's better than Sheldon Rankins, although the Rankins contract is good. Geno Stone, good signing. Need position. But DJ Reader is good. And I think Sheldon Rankins from DJ Reader is a downgrade. And the Ravens got better with Henry. And I think the other teams in our division got better. But the best thing that's going to happen to the Bengals this year is that their franchise quarterback will be back from injury. The Cleveland Browns signed Jordan Hicks, 2 for 8. Really good signing. I like that one. Zadarius Smith back, 2 for 23.5. So that's really it. And I thought they signed... Oh, they traded for Jerry Jeudy. I like what they did. Winner. So I'm going to put the Cleveland Browns on the winner side. The Hicks contract's great. They trade for Jeudy and don't give up a lot for him. And then Zadarius Smith they bring back. And I like Hicks. So, to me, the Browns are a winner. I know they lose Joe Flacco, but coming in to replace him, that's right, Jameis Winston, 1-year deal to the Browns. He's an upgrade over Flacco for backup quarterback. All due respect to Joe Flacco. So, Browns winner. The Dallas Cowboys only signed Eric Hendricks to a 1-year deal. This is arguably the biggest loser in the entire offseason so far. The biggest loser. You're a team that's supposed to contend for Super Bowl championships and not settle for less. You're the Dallas freaking Cowboys. You're supposed to go big. I feel like everything they've done has been wrong. Like, McCarthy's back. That's wrong. You should go out and hire Bill Belichick. You lose Dan Quinn, who is an excellent defensive coordinator. You replace him with Mike Zimmer. Okay. Some may say that's a wash. Eric Hendricks, good player, but you could argue he's past his prime. I understand the Zimmer connection and whatnot, but yeah. Dallas Cowboys, to me, is the biggest loser. They, in my mind, have gotten worse. They lost Biotaz. They're going to lose the tackle, Tyron Smith. They lost Tony Pollard. We'll see who they replace him with. But to me, they're worse. The Eagles got way better. We'll get to them. The Giants, you can make a case, got better. And the Commanders got better. And the Cowboys got worse. And to me, they're the single biggest loser of the offseason so far. Let alone the good teams, arguably, even the bad teams too, out of everybody. Not just the contenders. Everyone. So Jerry Jones must do something about this. Okay, the Denver Broncos. Brandon Jones, 3 for 20. And then they trade Jerry Jeudy. They get rid of Russell Wilson. They're a loser. I understand why they got rid of Russ. I'm in the minority by saying that the Broncos problems were more because of their defense than because of Wilson. But at the same time, I know why they got rid of Wilson. That's because Sean Payton didn't like him. And they get rid of Jeudy, but they don't get a lot back for him. And I know the Jones signing's nice. Justin Simmons got cut. That's a big loss. And Brandon Jones is worse. So the Denver Broncos, they might be one of the worst teams in the league next year. I might consider them for a worse record, like from a future standpoint. But Sean Payton's their coach, so that'd be weird to bet on Sean Payton to have the worst record. So Detroit Lions. Marcus Davenport 1 for 6.5. Excellent signing. Amik Robertson 2 for 9.25. Not bad. Graham Glasnow brought back 3 for 20. The Lions, I feel like, have more needs to address. I like Davenport. Robertson's not terrible. They bring back Glasnow. So I just don't think that they've widened the gap in that division, so I'm going to say Detroit's a loser. The Green Bay Packers. Keyshawn Nixon, 3 for 18. Josh Jacobs, 4 for 48. Xavier McKinney, 4 for 68. And then they get rid of Aaron Jones. But that for Josh Jacobs is, you could argue a swap. You could argue Jacobs is better. To me, Green Bay's a winner. McKinney, big signing in their secondary. They get rid of David Bakhtiari, which you're going to, I think we know where he's going to end up. I think it's going to be in New York with his boy Aaron Rodgers. Surprised that's where, surprised Aaron Jones didn't consider them. Although they do have Breece Hall, so it makes sense at the same time. But yeah, Green Bay's a winner in my books. Jacobs is an upgrade, although slight, over Aaron Jones. McKinney, big get in their secondary. And Nixon's a nice player for the secondary too. So Green Bay to me is a winner. Houston Texans, Danielle Hunter, 2 for 49. Noah Brown, 1 for 4. Azeez Al-Shahir, 3 for 34. Denico Autry, 2 for 20. Dalton Schultz, 3 for 36. And then Joe Mixon, they acquired him from the Bengals for a 7th-round pick and then a 3 for 27 contract. I absolutely love what the Texans did. I think they're among one of the biggest winners of free agency. This team is ready to be a contender. They're going to be a contender this season coming up. And they have a year 2 quarterback in C.J. Stroud, who's going to get a ton of MVP buzz, and rightfully so. And they're going to be the team in that division for a long time. And we thought that was going to be Jacksonville. Houston. All the way. But they're one of the biggest winners, and it's not quite, frankly, close. But part of me does wonder if they... I know they only gave up a 7th to get Mixon, but part of me wonders if they could have just signed Barkley. That would have been even more fun. And I like Joe Mixon too. And I didn't even think about Joe Mixon, talk about Cincinnati. That's a big loss for them on offense. And T. Higgins demanded a trade. The Bengals have to be a loser, but to me the Texans are a big winner. The Colts. They just brought back a lot of guys. Raekwon Davis, 2 for 14. Kenny Moore, 3 for 30. Tyquan Lewis, 2 for 12. Grover Sturz, 3 for 39. Michael Pittman, 3 for 70. Colts winner. They brought back a lot of guys that helped them succeed. They get Anthony Richardson back. And then they signed Joe Flacco to back him up. So the Colts, for me, is a winner. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Darnell Savage, 3 for 21. Gabe Davis, 3 for 39. Mitch Morse, 2 for 10.5. Ezra Cleveland brought back 3 for 24. They lose Calvin Ridley, and then obviously Josh Allen's on the tag. Okay, there's a lot of big names on the Jaguars that got brought in. But I think they could have done better. To me, they're a loser. And plus, the Texans got better, and the Jaguars, to me, have more big names on their team, but I don't know if they're really that much better. Mitch Morse is an upgrade. Darnell Savage is an upgrade. But they could have gotten Xavier McKinney and Connor Williams. But I understand Connor Williams coming off the injury. And they could have brought back Calvin Ridley, but instead they go for Gabe Davis. So I'm going to say loser, but this is one that I could regret. Kansas City. Chris Jones, 5 for 158 and 3/4. Drew Tranquil, 3 for 19. Winner. And as far as I'm concerned, L'Jarius Sneed's still on the Chiefs as of today. And he's on the tag. To me, the Chiefs are a winner, mostly because of Chris Jones. They had to bring him back, in my opinion, or else their chances of going for the three-peat would have went down the toilet. I think Chris Jones is that important to the Chiefs. And I think Sneed, I think they have to find a way to keep him too. They almost and probably should have lost the last 2 Super Bowls they played in, arguably, to the 49ers and to the Eagles. But those teams do not have Patrick Mahomes, and the Chiefs do. And KC bringing back Chris Jones alone, to me, is a win, so the Chiefs are a winner. Vegas, Gardner Minshew, 2 for 25. Christian Wilkins, 4 for 110. Andre James, 3 for 24. So they bring him back. To me, the Raiders are a winner. I like Gardner Minshew. He should be a backup, but I think the Raiders, to me, are a sneaky Fields candidate. If they can give up their second, which is in the middle of the second round, to the Bears for Fields, I think that would be a good trade for Vegas. And then you have him starting, and then Minshew as a backup. To me, Minshew's not a starter. He's a backup quarterback. But I don't think the signing either. Wilkins, big upgrade on defense. You knew that the Raiders were going to make a splash somewhere. It turned out to be defense. But, yeah, Raiders winner. The Los Angeles Chargers, Alohi Gilman, 2 for a little over $10 million. They're restructuring the deal for Khalil Mack, so he's not getting traded. Bad prediction by me. I thought Mack was getting traded. They get rid of Mike Williams. They lose Austin Eckler. They are listening on Joey Bosa. We'll see if that gets any traction, but the Chargers are a loser. They lose Mike Williams. They lose Austin Eckler. Gilman, to me, is not a star or anything. He's just a plug and play, whatever. But not a terrible contract, though. And plus the Raiders got better. And the Chiefs brought back Chris Jones. So the Chargers, to me, are a loser. Probably the second biggest loser other than the Cowboys, to me. Although you could argue Denver for that. Rams. Colby Parkinson, 3 for 22.5, the tight end. Jonah Jackson, 3 for 51. Great signing. Kevin Dotson, 3 for 48. Good job bringing back Dotson. Jonah Jackson, I think is a good veteran. But you could argue the rookie Steve Avila played good for them last year, but Jonah Jackson's a good veteran to have. So getting Dotson back and keeping their core together, not making any big cuts, I think the Rams are a winner. And oh yeah, Sean McVay is still around. The Miami Dolphins, Jordan Brooks, 3 for 26.25. Aaron Brewer, 3 for 21. And then Shaq Barrett, 1-year deal. Loser. They got worse. Connor Williams is leaving. And that's a big loss. Nobody talks about that because he tore his ACL. That is going to be a big loss. Christian Wilkins, big loss. Obviously, Robert Hunt, big loss. Xavier Howard, big loss. There's a chance that this team doesn't get to 11 wins next year. Or next season. Or 10 wins, even. But yeah, disappointing offseason in Miami. Jordan Brooks is a potential change of scenery guy that could work out. Shaq Barrett, veteran, maybe past his prime. But yeah, I don't love what the Dolphins did at all. They're usually big spenders and whatnot, and they haven't gotten going with their young guys yet in terms of extensions. Minnesota Vikings, Blake Cashman, 3 for 22.5. Aaron Jones, 1 for 6. That is an excellent signing. He's a big-time upgrade over Alexander Madison and Cam Akers and Ty Chandler. He's about even to what they had with Dalvin Cook, except on a much better contract. Unbelievable signing by them. Sam Darnold, 1 for 10. Andrew Van Ginkel, 2 for 20. Jonathan Grenard, 4 for 76. And then they lose Kirk Cousins. Minnesota is another half-pregnant type of team. They lose Cousins, and they go spend elsewhere, and you obviously have a hole at the game's most important position. Sam Darnold's not the answer. I mean, could they trade up the 1 with Caleb Williams? Which would be kind of weird because they're rivals with the Bears in that division. So it's really hard for me to call this one winner or loser. I think that the Vikings should have been in play for Russell Wilson. I think that obviously they should have re-signed Kirk Cousins, but he obviously wanted to leave. But yeah, they probably will draft a rookie, and they're going to have like a weird situation going on. Or maybe they are the team that trades for Justin Fields after all. But that would be weird trading in division. The win now move would be the trade for Justin Fields. So that's why they're in like that weird predicament that the Bears are in too. But to me, they're a loser because they lost Cousins. If you lose your quarterback, you're an automatic loser. Unless if you upgrade. That's not an upgrade. Sam Darnold's not a long-term answer. We saw him with the Jets, the Panthers, and the 49ers. He's not a starting quarterback in this league. And Jonathan Grenard, I think, might be buyer's remorse. Oh, no, yeah, they lose Daniel Hunter, too. And he's better than Jonathan Grenard. New England Patriots, Anfernee Jennings, 3 for 12. Josh Uche, 1 for 3 that could go up to 8. Jacoby Brissett, 1 for 8. Michael Owinu, 3 for 57. Kendrick Bourne, 3 for 19.5. Chukuma Okafor, 1 for 4. Hunter Henry, 3 for 27. So they brought back a lot of guys. And then they brought back somebody away from the pass in Jacoby Brissett. But this is a hard one. I'm going to say loser because they failed to address the need at wide receiver. It'd be weird if they drafted MHJ instead of a quarterback because Jacoby Brissett is not the answer. Come on. So to me, because of their failure to address wide receiver, loser. The New Orleans Saints. Willie Gay, 1 up to 5. And that's it. This is a hard one. And they lose Jameis Winston. I'm going to say loser. I think Winston is sneakily a big loss. And I think there's other spots on the roster where they could have upgraded, especially at the offensive line. And they could have gotten Okafor. That wasn't bad. And they could have gotten Ellamore. So, I think the Saints are a loser. Giants. Probably the most surprising move they did was acquiring Brian Burns from the Panthers for a 2nd and a 5th. And I gave him the 5 for 141 contract. Jermaine Ellamore, 2 for 14. Devin Singletary, 3 for 16.5. John Runyon, 3 for 30. They lose Saquon Barkley, and they lose Xavier McKinney. This is another team acting half pregnant. Are you in it to win it, or are you taking another step back and rebuilding? It's kind of like Minnesota and Chicago in this sense. Do you plan on trading up for a quarterback? And the only reason why people are talking about Daboll as a coach on the hot seat, 2 words, Bill Belichick. And where did it all begin for Bill Belichick? As an assistant with the Giants. That's the only reason why Daboll is in hot seat rumors. Do I think he should be on the hot seat? No. But the only reason why he is because of one, Bill Belichick. So, this is probably the hardest call on the board, whether this team is a winner or a loser in my books. Brian Burns is a big upgrade on their defensive line, and it's him and Dexter Lawrence and Kayvon Thibodeau all together, which is great. Now that becomes the strength of their team. They downgrade at running back from Barkley to Singletary. They get a part-time starter in Ellamore. They get a starter in Runyon on the line. And whether they're an off-season winner or loser, to me, depends on what they do at quarterback. Oh, and they signed Drew Lock as a backup option on a 1-year deal. Didn't love that. He's a downgrade from Tyrod Taylor. But you could argue he's an upgrade over Tommy DeVito. So, for free agency, I hate to say this because Saquon Barkley is, to me, an amazing player when he's on the field. But because of the other moves they made, I have to consider the Giants a winner. I don't want to say that because of Barkley and because of McKinney. But running back is not a valuable position in today's NFL. Like, you could get running backs anywhere. And even same with safeties. Like, safeties you could just find anywhere too. But the Runyon contract's not bad. I don't love the Singletary pickup from a contract standpoint, but I understand why they did it. They had the connection with Dayball and Shane in Buffalo. And then Brian Burns, to me, is the deciding factor whether the Giants are a winner or loser. The Giants would have been a loser if not for the Brian Burns trade. I'll put it that way. They would have been a loser if not for Brian Burns. But Brian Burns is a great player. And they only gave up what they got in return for Leonard Williams. And Burns is a much better player than Williams. So, single-handedly, the Brian Burns trade makes the Giants a winner. Just like, on the flip side, Minnesota single-handedly a loser because they lost Kirk Cousins. Jets. Javon Kinlaw, 1 for 7.25. John Simpson, 2 up to 18. And then they really didn't do much else. I think they're a loser. I think they missed the boat on Brian Burns. I think that would have been an excellent addition for that team. Maybe they signed David Bakhtiari. The Jets is one they may come to regret calling them a loser. There's a couple of those teams I think they might end up regretting. We call them winner or loser, and I think the Jets are one of them. Right now, to me, they're a loser. They signed Tyrod Taylor, which is an upgrade at backup quarterback. I forgot about that, so that has to be mentioned. But there are more things for the Jets to look at. They could have traded for Devontae Adams. They could have upgraded offensive line other than Morgan Moses, which was a good pickup. Good reunion, too. They only had to give up, I think, a 5th for him. That's a loss for Baltimore, but they can overcome that. But to me, the Jets are a loser, but not a big loser, per se. I just think that they could have gone the Brian Burns round. They could have upgraded at receiver. Morgan Moses, I like the pickup. But they could have gotten a better offensive lineman that could have been available. Kinlaw, don't hate that. I don't hate Morgan Moses. But a little quiet. They could have done more. Jets, to me, are a loser. Philadelphia Eagles. Saquon Barkley, 3 for 37.75. Bryce Huff, 3 for $51 million, or so over that. And then I just heard that they had also brought in Devin White. My bad. 1 for, I think, 7.5. To me, the Eagles are a winner. I know they lose Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox to retirement, but who the hell knows? Maybe they come out of retirement. Saquon Barkley, to me, is the cherry on the top. The Eagles are, to me, right there at the 49ers among the team to beat in the NFC. And Huff's a really good addition for them. There's guys that they look to trade, but I don't know if I'm them. I understand why they would, because they want to clear money, but the Barkley addition's humongous. I do think they need to make some moves on defense too, especially in the secondary, but the Barkley thing is just incredible, and he's an upgrade over DeAndre Swift. And we'll see. Pittsburgh Steelers, Patrick Queen, 3 for $41. Absolutely love that signing. And then they signed Russell Wilson to the veterans minimum. Winner. Pittsburgh Steelers, winner. I love what they did. They got better. And Russell Wilson is an upgrade over Kenny Pickett. And I think that Queen is a player that fits a need, that the Pittsburgh Steelers had. And it's a team that really could use a player like that. And Wilson on the veterans minimum couldn't ask for more if you're the Steelers. They're easily a winner in my book. And this is a team that made the playoffs this past year. They can absolutely go back to the postseason as long as Wilson and Tomlin get along and Wilson plays well. 49ers. Yater Gross Matos 2 for 18. Leonard Floyd 2 for 20. We'll see what happens with Chase Young. I think there are better moves for the Niners to make. I think that the Rams arguably got better. So, to me, the 49ers are a loser. And then they extend Jawan Jennings, too. Forgot to mention that. But, yeah, I don't really love those two signings. I like Leonard Floyd better than Yater Gross Matos, but they could have done better than those guys. Seattle, Leonard Williams, 3 for $64.5 million. Noah Fant, 2 for 21. And then they acquire Sam Howell for a 4th and a 6th, which I don't like that trade. They had to give up 2 picks for Sam Howell. Granted, a 2 and a 6. And he's a little bit better than Drew Lock for a backup, but I thought that was an odd trade for Seattle. Good on them for extending Leonard Williams, in which they gave up that pick for. Noah Fant, good tight end for them that they got from Denver in that trade for Wilson. But I think there were bigger needs on the roster, and they lose Jordan Brooks, and they didn't address linebackers, so I'm going to say Seattle's a loser. And plus the Rams got better. The Buccaneers. Jordan Winfield 2 for 9. Or Whitefield. Levante David 1 for 9. Baker Mayfield 3 for 100. Mike Evans 2 for 41. And then they tag Antoine Winfield. Buccaneers winner. Good job, Buccaneers. Brought back some important players. You lose Shaq Barrett, but he might be past his prime anyway. But really, really good by the Buccaneers. I think that got under the radar because of Atlanta making the move for Cousins. But Baker could be buyer's remorse. That could be this year's Daniel Jones. I've been saying that for a while, but nonetheless, the Bucs did what they had to do. And, of course, their franchise receiver, Mike Evans, is back. Tennessee Titans. The surprise signing of Calvin Ridley, 4 for 92. Kenneth Murray, 2 for 15.5. Willie Cushenberry, 4 for 50. Chidobe Awuzie, 3 for 36. Tony Pollard, 3 for 24. Unpopular opinion. Winner for Tennessee. They're setting up Will Levis, assuming that that's who they're going to roll with to be their starting quarterback. They're setting him up nicely. And then they're obviously going to take a lineman at 7. Love Calvin Ridley. He becomes the WR1 there. And then Hopkins could be the 2. I don't think Hopkins is as good as he used to be with the Texans and with the Cardinals, but Ridley and Hopkins together are really good. Kenneth Murray could be a change of scenery player. Same for Lloyd Cushenberry. I thought that's the road that the Titans were going to go if they change of scenery guys. Although to me, Awuzie and Ridley don't qualify for that. They're better than that. But those are upgrades at important positions. So I like what Tennessee did. But the obvious downgrade is Henry to Pollard. So that's the downgrade. And I think they only did that because Henry's getting a little older and Pollard's younger. So, running back is a downgrade, but I like what everything else they did. So the everything else part makes Tennessee a winner. And last but not least, Washington. Frankie Louvu, 3 for 31. Marcus Mariota, 1 for 6. Backup, obviously. Austin Eckler, 2 for a little over $8 million. Dorrance Armstrong, 3 for 33. I think Washington's a winner. I think they did a nice job. I like Louvu. Eckler's a different piece to their offense. I'm not a big Dorrance Armstrong fan. He was good last year on Dallas, but I'm not that big of a fan of him, and I understand the reunion with Dan Quinn. Oh, and the other one was Bobby Wagner, 1-year deal. That's a good one. He was like 1 for 8 or something like that. And then they're probably going to draft a quarterback at 2, unless if they're a dark horse to trade for Justin Fields, which they can go that route too, and then use the second pick on MHJ or something like that, which would be absurd. That's not what they should do, but like if someone told me that they traded for Justin Fields and took MHJ at 2, that wouldn't really be all that crazy. I've seen teams do crazier things. So to me, the Commanders are a winner. All right, so there's the NFL free agency recap. 2 things I want to talk about more in depth. Number 1, the New York Yankees, Garrett Cole is probably going to miss opening day. Or no, he's definitely going to miss opening day. He's out a month or 2 with the elbow issue. John Heyman says that nobody has or no tear has been detected yet. And I know John Heyman took a lot of crap for Arson Judge, but he's still good at his job. That's just one mistake he made in his career. And he's still getting crap for it to this day. So where do the Yankees go from here? There's a report from ESPN is that they're unlikely to sign Blake Snell, which I don't like that because I think they should have signed Blake Snell even if Cole was healthy. And then that would have been a lethal 1-2 in that rotation. And with Cole out the first 2 months of the season, they probably should not be the favorites to win the AL East. And I'm going to look at the FanDuel odds right now, because if the Yankees are favored in the division, that's favoritism because they're the New York Yankees. That's why the Dallas Cowboys are probably the favorites in the NFC East right now, although they shouldn't be. It should be the Eagles with Barkley. But last I saw, the Cowboys were still favored in the NFC East, but baseball in the AL East, division winners. The Yankees are plus 150, the O's are 2-1. That's ridiculous. I would make the O's plus 175. The Yankees I would make plus 240 or maybe plus 250. Toronto should be less than 380. I think they should be more like 360. The Rays are 5-1, which is insane, but we know why. They lose McClanahan. They don't have Franco anymore. And the Red Sox are a ridiculous 19-1 because they're bad. But the Yankees are still favored in that division with Cole missing 2 months, which is absurd. They shouldn't be, but they are because they're the New York Yankees. But then again, people are like, well, Madison, the Los Angeles Lakers are the Los Angeles Lakers, and they were not favored to win their division, let alone the Western Conference this year. The Clippers had better odds because someone first saw James Harden going there. And I think the Suns had better odds or shorter odds than them to win their division too. So I could be wrong in terms of popularity favoritism regarding the Yankees, but I think that's the case here. I really, really do. They should not be favorites to win the AL East right now, although the betting books say they do so. The betting books better be right. And the Yankee fan of me hopes the betting books are right. But I don't think they're right. Without Cole for 2 months, no way. Should be the Orioles. And there's reports that they checked in on Michael Lorenzen. Michael Lorenzen isn't that bad. He'll probably be like a 3 or a 4 for the Yanks. I mean, he wasn't bad with the Phillies last year and with the Tigers. So Michael Lorenzen's not awful, but it's not what you want. You want Blake Snell. But maybe that ESPN report's wrong. But the fact that they're unwilling to spend on Snell tells you that they think that Cole is going to come back sooner, which might be a good thing. And then the Padres getting Dylan Cease makes that team better. And obviously the Yankees were unwilling to give up Spencer Jones, who they think is Aaron Judge 2.0, but he also could be Kevin Moss 2.0 on the flip side. So part of me understands why they didn't do it. And like I said, Blake Snell is better than Dylan Cease. And I take Blake Snell for 6 for $150 over giving up your top prospects for Dylan Cease in a heartbeat. And then Aaron Judge should be ready to go for opening day. It was an abdominal injury, although it was reported like it was at his oblique. There's a lot of different reports regarding Aaron Judge and his injury status. But he better be ready for opening day. Because if the Yankees lose both him and Cole on opening day, that's just a disaster. Even just Cole's a disaster, in my opinion. And then the last thing I want to talk about on this special show for a Thursday night is the firing of Kenny Payne from Louisville in college basketball. He had to go. He was one of the worst coaches I've ever seen in professional sports. He's meant to be an assistant, not a head coach. He buried Louisville to the ground, and whoever replaces him has to build that program back up. All right, candidates that I think would be good hires for Louisville. Mick Cronin, UCLA. I like Mick Cronin. I think there's a chance that he's fired or he leaves and he pulls the Shaka Smart. And the other guy in the same conference I think is a candidate to do that is Arizona State's Bobby Hurley. I think either of those guys would be good hires. I think Dusty May would be a good hire, although a lot of pressure coming off a Final Four. But I listened to Eye on College Basketball podcast with Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander. I forget if it was Gary or Matt that said that somebody within the sport said, well, it's Louisville, they have to hire a Final Four coach. You know who's a Final Four coach? Dusty May. Granted, it was just last year with Florida Atlantic. Mick Cronin with UCLA. I think that would be an outstanding hire. Bobby Hurley did not make a Final Four. I don't think. I think somebody else that could be in play for this job is national championship winning coach Scott Drew from Baylor. But if you're Scott Drew, do you leave Baylor for Louisville? You'd be going to a worse situation, arguably. You don't want to leave the Big 12. Granted, the ACC is easier to go through than the Big 12 right now. So, Louisville can turn around quick. Kansas State turned around in year one under Jerome Tang. Could Jerome Tang be a candidate at Louisville? That's a weird one. I personally would not go there because I think there are better options. But yeah, Scott Drew and Mick Cronin, to me, are excellent options. I think John Calipari's off the table. He would have been in play, in my opinion, had Kentucky had another down year, which they didn't. So I would cross off John Calipari. There are some other head coaches that could in theory be in play for this job, such as John Schertz of Indiana State, Darian DeVries of Drake, but those guys are a little unproven to me. Like I said, has to be a proven head coach. I think the funniest hire would be if they hired Will Wade from McNeese, obviously former coach of LSU who got fired for off-court reasons. So his name has to be mentioned. I don't think any of the Big East coaches would leave their schools for Louisville. There are a couple others that stand out to me. Could Danny Sprinkle be one and done at Utah State? I don't see that. Steve Alford from Nevada. The furthest he's gone in the tournament was the Sweet 16. I mean, I like Steve Alford, but I don't see it. Could Eric Musselman leave Arkansas for Louisville? He's made the Elite Eight in back-to-back years in 21 and 22. Maybe. There's a couple other guys that could, in theory, be in play here at Louisville. Another head coach that is going to be in play here is Amir Abdur-Rahim of USF, who was really good at Kennesaw State, but I think that would be the job would be too big for him, kind of like Shaka Smart at Texas, and even in college football, Tom Herman, I think that was his name, from Texas. And right now he's the head coach at Florida Atlantic, ironically enough. Yeah, Tom Herman. That job was too big for him at Texas. And then he ended up going to Florida Atlantic. So yeah, for Abdur-Rahim, I think the Louisville job is too big for him. So yeah, Louisville, I think the best hire, if they're able to get him, would be Scott Drew. National championship winning head coach. And he's been at Baylor a long time. And the Big 12 is absolutely loaded. And it's going to be even crazier with Arizona joining the league next year. And that's another challenger in college basketball. And Zona State's going in the league. Utah, Colorado are going into the league too. So that league's going to be bigger and it's going to be harder to win. So if I'm Scott Drew, you say, I won a title here. They're always going to love me here. But I want a new journey and go to a historic program in Louisville. That's been a disaster. And if I can turn this around in a year, and I'm in a weak conference in the ACC. So that's the case for Scott Drew going to Louisville. And then Mick Cronin, I think, would be an outstanding hire, too. That's the other one that jumps out to me. Those are my top two. Then Dusty May would be sexy because FAU was in the Final Four last year. But is that job too big for him? So, yeah, there's a lot of candidates sitting there for Louisville. And I wanted to talk about this more in depth on this show tonight. So there you have it. 1 hour long show on a Thursday night, and we'll be back with the regular Friday podcast tomorrow.